Hello everyone joining in. Thank you. So welcome back. It's a Friday, so this means an Insta live on Eka meditation. Just hang in there. We're going to start in just a minute or so. Today's session is super interesting. It's about the moon meditations. So just gonna start in a minute or so. Thank you for joining in. Hi Priyanka. Hi Anjali. Nice to see you back here.
Hi, Dipti.
Hi Sheetal. How are you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. I'm just going to adjust my camera a little bit.
Okay, perfect. So I think we can get
Yeah.
started. Welcome to
Yeah.
the session today. Thank you for joining us. So, all those of you who've just joined in, today's session is about moon meditations, and we have Sheetal Jairaj with us today. She is a design professional turned yoga teacher. She comes from the Bihar School of Yoga lineage, and Sheetal teaches in Bangalore at the Dhyana Studio. She's an asana and meditation teacher. I have known her for a few years now. We studied under the same teachers, so she's a dear friend. Thank you for joining us, Sheetal. I
Thank you
know
for having me.
what a dedicated teacher you are and how dedicated you've been to your own practice. So lovely to have you here. To get started with today's session, or rather, even before that, um, could you just tell us how your journey has been so far? With the practice and with your teaching, all of that.
Yeah, I think you know a little bit of it, but I'd like to start by saying that, most of what we are passionate about, what we go after, many times the seeds of those are sown in our childhood. So for me, it has been that way. So yoga came to me in the form of asana at the age of 10. So we had this yoga master who used to come home and teach all of us. So we used to spread out our mats, my mother, my aunts, my cousins, and practice asana. So that went on for a year. But after that, it's been a little on and off, and life took different turns. And I went into a design profession, as you mentioned earlier. And at some point, I wasn't feeling that I was doing what my soul's calling was. So around that time, life was not also moving in a great direction. And life itself dealt me a blow by giving me a fracture in the leg. And I was bedridden for 3 months. It was nothing serious, but it kind of helped me to, sit back, reflect on life, and reset my priorities. That is the time the seed uh, kind of germinated, if you want to use that word. And I decided to explore going into doing a yoga teachers training course. So I did study with different teachers. There was practice going on and off till then. But after joining the teachers training course, the second or third day, I knew that this was the path I wanted to go down.
Mm.
So that's how I got here, and now it's been a beautiful journey for, I think, almost 7 or 8 years. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I
So
think
that's
both
the
of
journey.
us did our teachers training around the same time.
Yeah. That's where we met also. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah, but that's, you're so lucky to have found yoga so early on, as a child. And I think it's wonderful the entire process has been for you so far. So,
Yeah, I'm glad
what's the
to.
kind of work that you're doing now, in terms of your teaching?
Oh, yeah. So I do regular asana classes, as you already know.
Hmm.
However, from the time I've started teaching, I've really gone into exploring a couple of things which I'm really passionate about now, and I do a lot of work with. So one is moon rituals and the connect with the moon, moon meditations, which is what we're
Hmm.
talking about today. And the
Hmm.
second thing is chakra work. So understanding chakra philosophy and how to use it as a framework to apply it to life and lead a better life.
Hmm.
So these are two things which I spend a lot of time and energy on because I feel that has made a difference to my life, and I can see it making a difference to a lot of people's lives through my workshops and events. Yeah.
Interesting. So you mentioned the moon meditations and chakra healing. So why moon meditations? What led you to exploring that part of it? Because it's not very common, we don't really hear of moon meditations that often. So
Yeah, I
what
don't think
led you
you
to
hear about.
that?
Sorry,
I,
you were
I was
saying
just
something.
saying, what led you to that?
Yeah, I don't think you hear about it so much here,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, it existed in a big way, this connect with the moon, in
Mm-hmm.
ancient times, in many cultures.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that in India we might have forgotten it, and it's kind of a resurgence that is happening right now. So once I started my yoga teaching journey, and you also know that I've trained in Hatha Yoga, so Ha and Tha is the sun and the moon. So there started my exploration of both the sun and the moon, and you can't really separate one from the other, right? When you talk about the sun, you talk about the moon.
Yeah.
So. So it has been there. And if you look at ancient cultures, people have been associating with the sun and associating with the moon for quite some time now.
Mm.
So um, I think it's important to understand the symbolism of what the sun is, what the moon is. And ancient people actually lived their life in sync with the sun and the moon. And
Mm.
what they were doing actually is living in close proximity to nature, living synchronizing with nature's rhythms. And because of that, they were healthier, they were more conscious, they were more mindful, they were more honest people. Right.
More in sync with nature.
Yeah,
Right.
and they were in touch with their intuitions.
Mm.
And yeah, so they lived a good life. And civilizations, many civilizations speak of the moon. So you have a lot of mentions of the moon in Greek mythology. There are Greek goddesses associated with the moon, Artemis, Diana, who's a huntress, protecting women and animals. So there are a lot of references that way. The Egyptians have a male moon god who's a god of wisdom and magic. And yeah, so even in Indian Vedic astrology, the moon is given a lot of importance.
Mm.
So people knew the importance of the moon and the sun. They lived in synchronization with nature. They woke up with the sun, slept with the moon. They followed seasons, and they were all the better for it, right? And they learned a lot of lessons from the sun and the moon. So the
Mm.
sun, actually, this is quite beautiful. I keep repeating it in my sessions. So the sun actually rises and sets at almost the same time every day.
Mm.
And you see it almost in the same position. It doesn't move too much in terms of position. So these people learned a lot from the sun. They saw the sun as a symbol of permanence and immortality.
Okay. Mm.
And then they saw the moon. Every day the moon looked different. Every day it would rise at a different time.
Mm.
Each day the moon rises like 50 minutes late.
15
And
minutes late.
yeah, so
Okay.
every day it's 50 minutes and a little bit later that the moon
Uh,
rises.
okay. Okay.
And the moon doesn't even follow the same trajectory
Hmm.
on the sky. So you may see it on this side, and
Hmm.
by the time the next cycle of the moon happens, it might be, a little in a slightly different trajectory.
Different. Hmm.
So they saw the moon as a symbol of change, and they learned from the moon lessons of recurrence, rebirth, renewal.
How wonderful. Like it's
Yeah,
such a, both the balance of sun and the moon. I think so many
yeah,
things to sort of learn from that.
Yeah, true. So they learned these lessons just by looking at nature and being in sync with nature, which
Hmm.
we don't do anymore because we've moved so far away from that.
True.
Yeah. And actually, the sun and the moon, symbolically, the sun represents your outer world. So it is your personality, your ego, your identity, how you shine light out into the world, how the world sees you externally. Whereas the moon is actually your inner world,
Hmm.
your dreams, your desires, your fears, your worries, and your hidden emotions. The moon represents the mind.
Wow.
It is
Okay.
about your past. It is your mother connect.
Wow. Okay. That is so interesting, and there's so many layers to this,
Yeah,
and
there are a
it's
lot
very
of layers to
interesting.
this. Yeah. So we need both the sun energy and the moon energy to survive in the world today.
Yes,
However,
definitely.
what we see is that it's a lot more masculine in the way we go about life. It's about, you know, finishing things, getting ahead in life, reaching your goals, multitasking. It's all about structure. I'm not saying structure is bad. Structure is
Hmm.
required, discipline is required. But it's a lot about hardening up rather than feeling and expressing. So it's important, to take those times to pause and look into your inner world. Bring in those moon characteristics of compassion and softness and kindness towards yourself, nurturing aspect, so that you are not that harsh on yourself and you're able to set yourself up to better deal with change.
Hmm.
The moon teaches you how to deal with change, and that you heard this quote, right? Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans,
True.
right? So
Yes.
connecting on the moon helps you to deal with this kind of change. So yeah,
It's yeah.
you
So
were
it's
asking
all
me
about
something.
no, it's all about hitting that right balance, both
Yes,
with
yes,
the masculine and the feminine energies.
yeah. And it's all the more relevant today because, like I said,
Definitely.
we are more about doing things,
Hmm.
whereas the moon is, more about pausing and reflecting. Actually, new and full moon days are good times to do this because
Hmm.
that is when the moon influences us the most.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so on new moon days, full moon days, the moon influences us the most, and the moon has an impact on us because we are made of water. It has an
Hmm.
influence on anything which is watery in nature. We are 70 to 80% water.
Yes.
And it represents emotions, it represents the mind. Therefore, there is a big chance of, all what is deep within us to come surfacing up. So these
Definitely.
days are actually times to press the pause button, press the reset button on life. Go
Hmm.
inwards, understand your emotions better. And emotions are not a bad thing. They are a powerful resource to make sense of your
Definitely.
inner world. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So therefore, while I continued my teacher's teaching journey, I
Hmm.
started learning about all these things through my teachers also, who I'm really grateful for
Hmm.
passing on their learnings to me. And yeah, I it made a real difference to how I was living my life, health wise, and also in many other ways.
Hmm.
And I felt the need to share it so that a lot more people could benefit from it. And that's where it all started, and that's where all the events and sessions and Moon Tribe gatherings started happening.
Wonderful. I think we're all very grateful that you went down this journey to sort of research and study about all of this, so you could bring this wonderful practice to us. So you mentioned, both new moon and full moons having different energies. Can we get into a little bit of that? So, what is the significance of new moon and full moon, and anything in
Yeah,
between?
sure. So we're all aware of the phases of the moon, but in any case, one cycle of the moon actually begins with the dark moon or the new moon or the new moon, which is
Hmm.
what we are in right now.
Hmm.
Uh, and it ends with it coming back to a new moon. So it passes through
Hmm.
many phases, your crescent moon, your half moon, then your gibbous moon, then the full moon, and
Hmm.
then it wanes and comes back to being a new moon. right? So new moons actually are times when the energies in the body are, you know, downward flowing. If there are yoga teachers here, they would understand that the apana vayu in the body is pronounced, more pronounced. So you
Okay.
may not be very inclined to heavy activity, heavy physical activity, or doing much, or even interacting or meeting people. You might feel like staying, with yourself and not doing much actually. And
Right.
full moons, on the other hand, are completely opposite. The prana vayu or the upward surge of energy in the body is quite pronounced. So you will definitely feel like going out there and celebrating or meeting people, doing stuff for others. So that's the energy difference in the new and the full moon. And if you look at it, look at the cycle. So new to full
Hmm.
is when the energy is rising. So
Okay.
it's a period of high energy. And from full to new is when it is a period of low energy.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So,
So, yeah, but both these times are when we are influenced most by the moon.
mhm,
And yeah, so new moon times are when uh, it is good to do practices which are a little more, less physical, less focused on high physical activity, more of
mhm,
meditative, contemplative practices. And during the
okay.
full moon, also, it is important to do that because
Mhm,
both these times are times when you need to press the pause button and reflect on life.
mhm,
So, actually, new moons are also great times for intention setting. They say new
okay.
moons are about new beginnings. So,
Makes
if you,
sense.
for
Yeah.
example,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you are beginning a project, it's good to begin that on a new moon.
Okay.
So what happens is, as the moon waxes and becomes the full moon,
Hmm.
the moon's energies are helping you along
Hmm. Okay.
in manifesting the intention that that you have set, in making it come into fruition.
Fusion. Okay. Mm.
Yeah, and you put in your efforts as well.
Hmm.
You said something.
No, I was just agreeing with you that it makes so
Yeah.
much sense, to sort of sow the seeds of intentions, new moon, and then sort of reap the harvest at the full moon. So,
Yeah, yeah. So in olden times, they say the farmers used to sow their seeds also during the dark moon.
hmm.
So
Okay.
yeah, so that's the half cycle wherein you are putting in all your efforts, aided by the energies of the moon, to make
Hmm.
your intention come into fruition.
Hmm.
And along that path also, there are other phases of the moon, right? You have your crescent, you have your half moon,
Hmm.
you have the gibbous moon, which is just before the full moon happens. So these are also, I would say, pit stops where you can pause and check in on how your project or how your intention is doing.
Okay.
Okay, and the moon is about change. Things may not always go as per plan. So even at these points, you can pause and check what is it that you need to do? Do you need to get more help? Do you need to reach out? Because this is a very outward cycle wherein the energies are outward. It will enable you to reach out to people and make things happen. So these are pit stops where you can keep checking on how your intention is doing and make those little tweaks so that by the time of the full moon, your intention is hopefully manifested.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so that is
Wow,
a
so
time of
much to learn.
celebrating.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, so much to
That is
learn
a time
from
of
everything
celebrating.
that's
Yes. There's so
around.
much to learn from the moon and the sun that I think we are just about scratching the surface.
So, true.
Yeah.
So,
So,
so
yeah.
like you
So
said,
then,
hmm, go ahead, sorry.
yeah. No problem. So I was saying that full moon is hopefully the time when your intention has come into fruition. You've manifested your intention. And
Okay.
that's the time you celebrate. Energies are anyway high. So you go
Hmm.
out there and be grateful also for whatever has happened.
Okay. Okay.
And
So,
there
yeah,
is,
yeah.
sorry, I think we're going on cutting each other. You say what you have to say.
I think there must be some sort of an overlap, but yeah, never mind. So I was just asking you about, what kind of practices in terms of your, somebody who's a yoga practitioner, in terms of your
Mm,
asana, pranayama, or even
mm,
chanting and meditation. So, what kind would
mm.
you sort of recommend for new moons and full moons?
Yeah, so I think I finished that. I spoke, I think, only about the manifesting cycle. So I'll just
Okay.
complete the other bit, and
Yes,
then
yes.
then it will make sense to talk about the practices because you'll
Yes.
understand it a little better.
Yes,
So
yes. Go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, so the full moon has hopefully manifested, but it's not necessary that you've manifested your intention completely. Maybe it's happened to only a certain degree,
Hmm, hmm,
right? Because s- sometimes things take time. So the moon is also about teaching us patience. It may take many moon cycles to manifest something. So what part of it hasn't, sorry about that, some noise outside. So maybe some things have not manifested. So it is also the time to pause and see why things haven't happened.
hmm,
What could have been possible obstacles to your path to manifesting? And start letting go of, those obstacles in your path to manifesting. So you
hmm.
start the journey of letting go on the full moon,
Okay.
leading up to the new moon.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and that is also a time of high intuition. So that
Hmm.
time, if you're really in touch with your inner self through the practices, which we will talk about, you
Okay.
will get a lot of insight into why things may have happened, why things may not have happened. So
Hmm.
it is a dark phase. So there's this very nice phrase for this particular phase from full to new moon.
Hmm.
It's about seeing in the dark.
Hmm.
Intuitive powers are really, really high during that time. So you can tap into those to make sense of the obstacles, make sense of what worked for you, and continue to let go of what did not serve you anymore. So that
Okay.
hopefully by the time of the new moon, the field is cleared and you can revisit your intention or set a new intention.
Okay.
So it's like that. So your first half of the cycle is more about doing stuff. It's more outward, and the second half is about being more inwards and being more contemplative and being with yourself. So that's doing, and this is being. So that's how it works.
Wonderfully put. I like the bit about doing and being. I think
Yeah,
that is it's so required in like so many things, so many aspects of our lives, because I think now today's world it's only doing, 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 and very little time to sort of slow down and contemplate on your actions.
yeah,
So
true.
I think lots to learn from there. So, yeah, coming back to the practices,
Practices,
uh,
yeah.
what would you suggest for a yoga practitioner on full moon and new moon? What kind of
Yeah,
practices?
so by now you've learned that the full moon is a time of high energy.
Hmm.
But then it is important that you don't get carried away with that energy. The chances of that are quite high if you're
Hmm.
not grounded enough.
Hmm.
So go ahead, celebrate, go ahead, be grateful, go ahead, be social, meet people, help people, but keep yourself grounded, which is where these practices come into play. So if it, like you asked me, if you're a yoga practitioner, um, movements should have a grounding focus.
Hmm.
So legs and hips, your lower chakras come into play there. So make sure you're grounded, you are in connection with the earth while you're celebrating, while you're going into your heart, or while you're, doing anything which is social and interactive, so that you don't lose your sense of grounding and earthing. Okay, so in terms of what kind of practices, nothing too intense. So the moon is all about the water element in the body. So we should look at practices which are softer, fluid. So if you're looking at hatha practices, it could be a gentle hatha practice. It could be a flow, but the flow has to be again gentle.
Okay.
Those of you who know Chandra Namaskara, you can do it with a very, good breath focus, move through it very slowly.
Hmm.
Uh, Usually what I say in my classes is that move like water. No jerky movements, very slowly, softly, and uh, bring in that quality of water within you.
Okay.
So even a soft, gentle vinyasa practice works, yin yoga works.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, in terms of breath practices, I think your Anulom Vilom, Chandra Bedana, these work.
Okay.
Okay, so these would apply to yoga practitioners, but if you are not an asana practitioner, there are so many other things which you can do, which applies to both new and full moons. I will get to the new moon specific practices. So you can do anything which is contemplative and meditative. Whatever is meditation for you,
Okay.
even if it doesn't mean sitting down in one place and meditating. Maybe you are into journaling.
Mm-hmm.
Do that. Connect with water. There are many ways to connect with water. Hydrate yourself well.
Okay.
Swim.
Mm.
Yeah, and spend time near water bodies.
Okay.
All these will help.
Mm.
Other than that, chanting also helps.
Okay.
So there is this mantra called Aum Som Somaya Namaha to invoke the moon's energies and help you along in whatever practices that you're doing. So that is something which you can do. Maybe we can put it down later for those people who need it.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah. And yeah, so full moon times, otherwise, you can really, go out there, be with people, gather with people, do stuff that will bring you together as a tribe.
Mm.
Whether it's cooking or whether it's having a tea ceremony or whether it's dancing. Dancing is another thing which is really good for full moon days. So there are
Then
many.
howling at the moon, full moon.
Yeah, wolves do that. In fact, Native Americans have a wolf moon in December. So,
Okay, okay.
yeah. So, yeah, howling at the moon, we could try that. I mean, I've not tried it yet, but not a bad idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there is a story there actually why wolves howl during that time.
Uh-huh.
It's basically to establish their territory and bring them together as a pack. So,
Okay. Mm.
so full moon practices could be any of this. There are many more in terms of what you can integrate into your daily life. But I
Mm.
think these are simple things which you can do,
Okay.
right? For new moons, it's better that you lie low
Mm.
and not go into too much of physical activity.
Mm.
So no fiery practices,
Mm.
not so much of core and stuff. Restorative yoga really works during the new moon time. Meditation for sure. You
Mm.
might ask what kind of meditation. So it could be connected to these qualities of the moon, which I mentioned during the new moon, and setting intentions, or during the full moon, whether it's about gratitude or it could be about letting go. So meditations connected to this.
Mm.
I have a few meditations on my YouTube channel, so if you're interested, you can check them out.
Mm.
So new moons are times of lying low,
Mm.
and also meditative contemplative practices work during the new moon time as well.
Mm.
So the tendency is that you will feel like being with yourself. So it is the being phase. So honor that being phase and do whatever is needed to feel that being phase, to feel the depth of your feelings. So it's all about feeling and healing. Actually,
Mm.
this whole connect with the moon.
Very nicely put. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
So
So in the meantime, if anyone has questions, all those of you who have logged in, please go ahead and uh, type out your questions and we'll try and answer them soon. Um, just a moment. I'm just checking if there are any questions.
yeah, somebody's asked for the chant, I think. Yeah.
Yes, Neetu, we'll just put up the chant uh, after this live once I put up the recording. But in the meantime, Sheetal will also guide us through a short meditation. So she will probably include that chant.
Yeah.
Priyanka is asking any research on this. Sheetal, would you know about any research that's on this?
Oh, my sources are many, so I can't really give you a single source. A lot of it has come
Okay.
from my teacher. Even the chant has come from, Rahi ma'am, right? Rahi Santa. So
Yes,
she has
yes.
actually taught me this chant, which we will share. I'm not sure if we do the chant and the meditation, but we can definitely share it with people.
Share it. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And in terms of
Uh,
sources,
yeah.
yeah, so
Sorry.
you can read up, but there's a lot of information out there. What I would
Hmm.
suggest though is learning more from experience rather than, going out there and trying to accumulate information because you learn a lot more that way. What is your experience? Do the practice, follow these cycles. Actually, to start with, just start watching the moon and the phases of the moon.
Yes.
Which phase are you in today? What is your energy level? So just keep having that conversation with the moon. There itself, you will start synchronizing with the moon.
Definitely.
And as you do your practices, the answers will actually come from within you more than you going out there and seeking it. Of course, you can look for guided meditations, and you know, I have sessions on full moon, new moons. There may be other people who have sessions, so you could attend those. That will also deepen your learning and understanding.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's what I
So,
have to say about sources. Yeah.
yeah, no, also if I could share from personal experience. So for me, during some close to full moon time, it's very difficult for me to fall asleep easily. And I find that there's so much energy, and unless I'm like consciously grounding myself, I cannot sleep easily. So a lot of my research with sleep began with that. But
Oh
very
yeah.
recently, I came across a research study that was done in, I'm not sure, Portugal or Argentina. It was done in one of these countries, and it said that, full moon changes, or rather, disturbs your sleep cycle. But the thing is, they were not able to figure out what is the reason exactly. But
Hmm.
it was established that yes, the moon cycles, especially around full moon, affects the sleep quality of people. So
Yeah, I've
more
read that too.
research, yes, more research is awaited on what is that exact thing that causes the sleeplessness or the high
Yeah.
energy
Was there a
level.
relation to the pineal gland? I read up something on that, so I'm sure you
Hmm.
know more on that.
Yes, so this did mention pineal gland and the melatonin production around full moon and all of these things.
Hmm.
So yes, but definitely more scientific research would throw light
Yeah.
on these things.
Yeah, so it's beautiful that you've noticed that. So that's where it
Yes,
started for me also. It all starts by simply noticing how you feel in relation to the moon.
yes, yes.
So,
I mean,
yeah,
for me, it was very difficult to ignore it because it was just in my face, not able to sleep, so I could not
yeah,
ignore it.
yeah.
And I think
Yeah, I feel the same way
Archana,
on full moons.
yes. Thanks for joining, Archana. So Archana has a question. Where do we find the moon practices? I think she means, are there some recordings and meditations that you lead? Where could we
Okay,
find that?
so I do have some recordings. So
Hmm.
on my Instagram profile, I have a link to the meditation which I've put out day before, I think, for this Shivratri new moon, which is
Okay.
about returning to stillness. So
Hmm.
that is the most recent. I have put out meditations, guided meditations for the previous moons also. You can go check them out. There are journaling practices and other guided meditations as well.
Wonderful. And I will just tag your profiles once I put up this recording
Sure,
as well.
thanks.
So, unless there are other questions, I think we can get on to this short meditation practice for this new moon. So tomorrow is the new moon, and Sheetal will guide us through the practice. Just give me a second. I think there's another question. Um, yes, Neetu, she says, When a mood admirer. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, Neetu's sharing her personal experience with the
Experience.
moon,
Yeah.
and yes, since childhood. Yes, Neetu, I think uh, the more we start to notice and observe it, I think the closer we get to the cycles as well.
Yeah, that's
All right.
beautiful. I think I have a similar experience. I remember watching the moon as a child,
Hmm.
and it's all coming back more so now.
Yes, yes. All right. So I think we could get started with our meditation. Um, so you can take over, Sheetal.
Yeah,
Do
sure.
what you do best.
So we're going to do just an introduction to it. We're going to do a short meditation today. Um, so, like I said, it's about feeling and healing, right? Maybe some of you are already on the journey of feeling and healing, especially yoga teachers and practitioners. But others, today can be a beginning to that. And as you're doing it, you can reinforce it. Okay, usually meditations, for them to be like to go a little deeper, uh, you have to do it for at least 10-15 minutes. But today, what we're doing is because it's a new moon, let's set the intention to be open to feeling and healing.
Okay.
So we will go into our heart space, connect with the energies of the heart, and make an affirmation, set this intention. All right?
Wonderful.
Okay. So you could choose your seating position. Ideally, the spine should be straight. Maybe some of you are sitting on the floor, in which case, just check on your postures. You can sit cross legged. If you need back support, please do take back support. If you're on a chair, make sure the soles of your feet are touching the floor. And you could rest your palms on the knees or the thighs. Your eyes can close gently now as you come away from all the noise and settle into your body. Feel your body wherever it is connected to Mother Earth, sensing the support of Mother Earth beneath you. And also sensing the energies of the new moon around you. With every breath that you take, sense these energies entering you. The beautiful healing energies of the new moon pouring into you, flowing into you with every breath. Initiating the process of feeling and healing. With every in breath, allow these energies to enter you, and with every out breath, feel these energies flowing, coursing through your body, reaching every nook and corner of your body. And as these healing energies of the new moon enter you, your body welcomes it, receives it, and feels a further sense of grounding. sensing this relaxation, this ease that the energy of the new moon has created within you. Feeling the pause. Now gently shift focus to your heart, feeling the breath in your heart space, in your chest region. A slight expansion and relaxation that happens naturally with your breath. You sense this beautiful energy of the heart, the energy of love, the energy of kindness, compassion, and gratitude. And now sense deep in your heart center a soft green light. Soft green light glowing. This is the light of compassion, kindness, gratitude. As you breathe in and out, this light begins to glow a little brighter and starts to expand little by little, filling up your heart space. With every breath, this green light, with its source at the heart center, radiates and fills up the chest space. Stay with this energy of the heart space. And as you stay here, silently repeating an affirmation. I am open to feeling and healing. I am open to feeling and healing. Silently repeating to yourself as you stay with the energy, as you stay with this beautiful green light in your heart. I am open to feeling and healing. Repeating this very silently a couple more times. Allowing this affirmation, this intention to fill up your heart space. and observe how you feel, having set that intention, having made that affirmation. You have begun the journey towards feeling and healing with the moon. Now, watch this light, the green light in your heart space, receding towards the center where it started. And it remains as a small green glow, the size of a firefly, there for you to touch whenever you feel the need to. Slowly take awareness to your breath at the nostrils. Gently shifting focus to your physical body. Your body supported by Mother Earth. Offering gratitude to Mother Earth for grounding you and holding you through this process. Thanking the moon's energies for guiding you along. Make some gentle movements, conscious slow movements with your fingers. Maybe your toes. And gently bowing your head down whenever you're ready. Very, very gently open your eyes, giving time for the outer world to come into you. Welcome back to being with everybody else.
Thanks, Sheetal, for guiding us through that wonderful practice. I think I feel so much more grounded and, you know, uh, so calm and peaceful. So thank you so much for that. It was
Thank you.
lovely having you on this session. I think there's still so much more to learn, and I'm hoping, you'll join us for more sessions in the future. There's so much to learn from the sun and moon, and it will only benefit us to be more closer to nature. And at least starting with the moon, because it's, so beautiful and just there for us to see every night. So thank you so much for this very informative session. I learned so much from this. I'm sure everyone who's logged in also feels the same. Um, just a moment. Yeah, okay. Now I
I'd
got
like to
the
say thank you
question.
for having me. It's always a pleasure to share, and I don't think anything happens by coincidence. I'm sure there are some people here who have initiated their connect with the moon. So I'm grateful and thank you again for having me.
My pleasure. Right. So you have a good night's sleep. I will see you soon around the full moon, maybe. All right.
Yeah, so
Thank you
you
so
can keep
much.
watching out on my profile if there are events or meditations, those of you who
Yes,
want to connect deeper.
yes. I will tag you at the end of this.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you all for joining and good night. See you all soon, some other time.
Thanks everyone who logged in to this wonderful session. Of course, this recording of this would be saved for you to watch at any time and also check Sheetal's profile. Thank you so much again. Have a good night's sleep. We'll see you soon next Friday for the next Insta Live session. Thank you.
Thank you and bye.